Well, and it's my sincere pleasure to invite here the hardware companies panel, the supplier management, and the arrival of an AI era. Gentlemen, please give them the warm welcome as well.
Okay, hello everyone. Thank you for coming to our panel discussion. And my name is Roman, and I'm delighted to see so many of you present here. And last time, if you was on previous conference, we talked about how we can set up businesses in EU and sales to market strategies. But today, with new participants, we will discuss about new topic. It's management of supply chain and the arrival of the AI era. And I would like to introduce our speakers. Nik Bedunkevich, startup Cropler, Sergei Kostevitch, ASBIS CTO, Artsiom Shchetska, Artengi design house from UK, Viktar Khamianok, ex-Rosem Robotics CEO and founder, and the serial entrepreneur, as we know, and Peter Dudin, founder of MakeIT.Center. Yes, and now I would like to ask you to introduce themselves. Nikita, could you start?
Hello, my name is Nikita. I am CEO of Cropler. Cropler, it's maybe only one startup who started operating after 2020 in Poland. We produce sensors to analyze plants and to provide precise information for farmers about precise work planning. And we help to apply new technologies for farming in the world.
Thank you, Nikita. Sergei, you represented today ASBIS company, and we know that you work a lot on B2C market, but we don't know a lot about your B2B solutions. Could you explain your today's position and what do you do?
Thank you. Yeah, so B2C is definitely still one of the parts of it, but related to B2B, currently we are working mainly on the software solutions, also related, I think it dropped, no? It's also related to anything with the ERP systems as well. So we have integrations with multiple customers for the sales force. So AI is also in a way helping us for the sales as well, and analytics and predicting some of the sales onwards together with our customers. So not only from our side as a distributor, because we are always in the middle between the vendors, so even the Cropler part, we interacted prior, and the retail and the end customers, B2B or B2C. So it's always good to have additional opportunities, additional value, financial value, and we definitely see the growth and opportunities up to 40% on those things. That's more to the software part. But since today is the hardware discussion, so one of the entries we did about 2.5 years ago was also robotics. So we saw the year-on-year growth about 20–25%. So we definitely entered all the markets related to the securities, to the delivery, to the cleaning, and also one of the things we did was related to the RoboShop. So thanks to Viktar's part. Okay, that's how from our side.
Okay, thank you very much. And Artyom, we remember you useful insights about UK market last conference, but today we speak about a new topic. And could you explain who are you?
Well, first of all, it's Artengi, and some of you might get the pen. But I don't know what AI is. I call it neural networks for the sake of turning the hype down. And in our engineering development process, we use NN tools for checking. I call them additional automated checkers. Doesn't replace the engineer, doesn't change the rest of the process, but it's very useful to catch some hidden problems in development. And therefore, I embrace it, and our company, though small it is, embrace it, and I think it's a helping tool. as far as generating of the design with the AI, I don't think we're there, but building from system blocks, and we're talking about hardware, it's something which will be helpful, but still will need refinement on engineer, because these are physical objects. You have to think about electromagnetic compatibility, you have to think about safety and other things, but it's another tool, very powerful, but not going to replace engineers.
Okay, thank you, Artyom. Viktar, we know you as a serial entrepreneur and Artsiom Robotics CEO or founder. No, I don't know, but we don't know what are you doing for today.
What I'm doing now? You mean?
Yes, right now, and maybe about your background too.
Well, I'm the founder of the robotics company. That was a company that was producing robots in Minsk a couple of years ago. You might seen our robot in Minsk airport producing coffee, for example. Now I left the business because of the war, and now I'm looking for a new big idea, and I think I have a couple of them. So I will let you know as soon as I start to execute it.
Okay. Thank you. Next our speaker is Peter. Peter is a famous person who create prototyping lab, right, in Canada?
Well, at
Yes.
first it was in Minsk.
Yes. Could you explain about you?
So, yeah,
What are you doing today and about your background too?
So MakeIT.Center is a solution, the ecosystem solution for hardware startups. This is the place where they can come and build the prototypes. Not different from hackerspaces, but with just more advanced equipment, with more advanced software, with opportunities for the government to give quick money to the startups. So the first one was in Minsk, the second one built in Canada, but it happens that nobody really wants to invest in ecosystems because makerspaces, hackerspaces, they're not profitable. There's no much business model apart from if some government comes and wants to invest in it. So, but my background actually is in chemistry. So, and I also work now in mining sector, and I work on a couple of novel technologies, how to beneficiate and process the industrial waste and extract raw materials and metals, and that happens to be in Kazakhstan. That's one of the richest countries in the world for metals and mining. But I'm still a hardware amateur, and I'm still looking to build another MakeIT.Center.
Okay, thank you. And I am Roman Pakholkov. I am the founder of Promwad Electronic Design House and Bridgio Hardtech Accelerator. And my role is to facilitate today's session, and I am really excited to open our key part. And let's discuss our first topic, how we can manage suppliers effectively. Can you tell us what kind of suppliers you work with today and why? Sergei?
Mm-hmm. From me or
yes.
from Nikita's part? Okay.
You can start.
Wow, okay. Which devices? There are multiple. Okay, if we're talking about more of the hardware part, so one of the fun things, and we had, so it was Viktar's part as well involved in that one, was movement of the X-Robotics team basically to Cyprus. And that was an interesting challenge of trying to work with the Cypriots, trying to do something which is robotized, and it just came, basically, the country is 50 years old. So even the metal making parts is something of an interesting thing. And latest, actually, our accounting came to me saying, guys, you're spending 50K this month for DHL, for shipment from CZ, from Czech Republic, from China, from Poland, elsewhere just for the Cyprus. It's something of a challenge. It's something new. The advantage is it's harder than for them to copy, but it's also harder for us to scale. So when we are prototyping, when we are testing, it's good enough for that. But when we are trying to scale up, we still need to move to the mainland. Definitely not more to the Asia part. So since it's something more unique, something that we're developing, it'll be Poland for us. So we've been working here and we've been interacting with some of the partners around the Polish market as well. We found some partners, right, who will be integrating and scaling up production, because elsewhere it's not possible. As far as also some related simple stuff, all the consumer products, we still rely a lot on Asian market. But even yesterday we had a discussion, because we currently host 4 own brands for small domestic appliances, for the consumer electronics, for the gaming as well, and other premium products. And we see the word is deglobalization. I've been hearing for the past 2 years, moving backwards to the European regions, moving backwards even, I don't know, even Turkey, Malaysia for the clothing, Vietnam as well, everything outside closer, because who works with hardware knows logistics is blowing up in prices. So we know our containers is about, the 40-foot containers is 12,500 per container, and it's expensive, and it's time 3 months, and you're losing the market as well, because the customers see the product here and today. For the software, it's also interesting to see it, and they can grab it quickly. For us, we are always delayed because of nothing related to our part. And it's actually, okay, it is the losses from the financial part, the customer interest as well, and we are not as fast and we're not as mobile and agile, I believe, as the Asian market became. Also, the situation with the COVID, we became, let's say, more reliant on the current market setup compared to what the other guys were able to perform elsewhere. I believe everybody saw the Temu application for the past 2 years pushing very strongly, and they're the strongest and the fastest, I believe, in the movement of the products currently. And they're fighting Amazon. I mean, it just came out very fast, and it came from the Asian market.
Okay. And Nikita, we know that you have the same problem with your startup today, and with manufacturing, yes? And maybe you can share us your experience in that, and maybe with China too.
Okay, for us, the main goal is to start production as soon as possible, because as you're a startup, you don't have a lot of funds. So usually you have few months to start production. And usually we are trying to find good guys, good partners who have big experiences. For example, with working in China. For example, plastic parts we produce in China. We have partners who have big experiences in that, but it's a little bit expensive for us, but it's reliable. And for producing electronic parts, we choose Poland, because also when you start, you need to make some changes. You need to very fast to check something, and to have electronic production in Poland, you can visit this place, you can discuss something. In the future, we are going to save this strategy to produce plastic parts in China, maybe to make pre-assembling, and save electronics production in Poland. For example, if we want to start, want to produce some prototypes, we don't save money. We usually using expensive services such like as DK or Mouser to get fast delivery, because it's very important to check and to go ahead. For example, we also using such services GLC PCB to get pre-assembled PCB boards. It's also very fast. Usually it takes something about 10 days to get PCB boards, to assembling, to check, and to go ahead.
Okay.
It's our strategy.
Yes, maybe Peter can share his experience in China.
Yeah, well, I've lived in China for 6 months in this year, and I wonder why I never went there before. Because everything moves so much faster in China. If you develop in any hardware tool, hardware device, hardware anything, you can do it in China just a lot faster. So, for example, like everything is cheap. Whether you want to outsource, like your metal milling, or you want to produce a PCB board, or you want to procure components, it's like almost next day. And like before we were sitting in Belarus, so it took us a lot of time to wait just for the components to arrive, and and to find somebody local to do the metal milling or plastic injection molding. So in China, it's all like you go to southern part of China, Shenzhen area, Guangdong area, and you find it all in one place. So problem, of course, is Chinese, they're always copycats. They're going to steal it from you. But it's a matter of your value proposition for the product that you're designing. So it's got to be a very niche product, which you're going to push to the market where Chinese simply cannot reach. So something you can do much better with your marketing and sales, or it's going to be software. I guess hardware is becoming just a commodity, and I guess we're entering the world where low-end hardware products will be manufactured in Asia, whether in China, Malaysia, or Vietnam. And what is left for Europe and Americas is just mid add value or high add value but that's different story. And we can touch this as well. So AI perhaps is where it comes.
Okay, thank you. Viktar, we were in China together, and I know that you have an interesting story about it.
Well, yeah, I can share my personal experience. Before I was starting the business, I was selecting a location where to base my manufacturing, and I was choosing between China and Europe, and I made the craziest decision. I located all the manufacturing in Belarus, as you know, and that was crazy, okay. But yeah, of course, my first idea was to locate it in China, and we were visiting China together with Roman. But what I have seen in China shocked me because of low quality and I will give you an example. We were visiting a factory. They proposed to make PCB for us. It's like electronics parts. They say that we have a line for $5 million. Maybe you are interested in PCBs. I said, of course. And when we were visiting factory, it's we go to the manufacturing through the air gate when you is between two doors. It's closed, and air remove all the dust from you. So it's really clean environment. And when I came to the place with all these machines, it was a mess. And from the other side, doors was opened, and people were moving stuff between street and this place. So I found it really funny, and I decided that I will never have my production in China. And Europe was too expensive and too slow for me, so I started it in Belarus.
Thank you. So now I would like to discuss with all of you what kind of services you outsource today, and what services you keep in-house, and why. Artyom, your company provides electronics design services.
Well,
and
more than that
yes.
already, but it started.
Yes, and what do you think is your competitive advantage on the UK market? And what is your place on the supply chain? Your place and place of your supply chain players too.
So just a disclaimer, our company, some of you might know from half a year ago, so it's a micro company, although we grew like 4 or 5 times, but it's still a speckle of dust on the radar. So it's good to be among the people more experienced like Roman. But there is definitely a desire, not only UK market, and I would say, well, we have one bigger client in the UK market, but another one is in the US, actually a couple in the US, and some smaller ones elsewhere. There is big demand for quality, flexibility, because requirements always change, well, within the reason, and transparency. So people want to know not only what will be done, but not only how, but who exactly will be doing that. And these 3 cornerstones we are built upon, although we need 4th to be stable. What we provide is not cheapest labor, but flexible and professional labor. And this is not selling hats, as previously discussed. This is selling services. So starting from people come and say, we have an idea, and then we gather requirements, process them, do architectural functional design, do detailed design, do certification testing, whatever. But some of them might say, we only want part of it. That's fine. The point is clearly define inputs and outputs. Provide structure, but which is flexible. If things change as they do, we can accommodate that. And I think this is a value for any kind of service company. Obviously, if you grow larger, you will not be probably as flexible. But this is something which I want to preserve. And we have some of the associates who work with in this audience today. So I hope they would agree, although it's still early stages.
Okay, thank you. Yes, Sergei, could you explain us why you move your your plan to Poland, and what kind of services you outsource today and keep in-house? What kind of service?
Cheers. Yeah, for the Poland, it was an experiment actually. It was immediately after the COVID situation, and what I had, so actually multiple of my engineers were in Ukraine, so that was one part. Now it's even worse for me. And the situation happened that the quality, and Viktar actually said the same, and I saw exactly the same thing what he is saying personally, even actually this year. Again, smaller company, but the same story. And the quality is not there. Yeah, I'm pushing and I'm ready to pay even. The factories, they're saying, no, this is the maximum. And the way they work in Asia is saying, this is it, and they're not willing to push forward. Even the simplest joke, so about, there's always jokes about Asia, is I had the paper and I had my address for my hotel. It was in English. Next page was in Chinese. So I showed it to the taxi driver in English, and I had my bags already inside the car. And he throws them away, and I'm showing him already the Chinese translation. He's like, no, finished, out. Out. So this is how they work. If they don't like you in the first step, they will never work with you onwards. And even the idea of long-term relationship, it's a great story. It's just a question of if. It's not of if, when something's going to go wrong. It's just a question of when. That's why in Europe, I still do prefer. It is a bit more expensive. The difference is 5%. But my headache is not there. I don't have to fly to Poland every single day to fix the things. I go there periodically, once in a period of time, just to do outbound quality control. It's there, and it's consistent for me. And onwards, something more difficult, so robotics, I want to be sure they're working. And the way they make the processes, they come to us, we were sitting together, they do all the homework. I don't need to be teaching them, they're teaching me. So actually, the advantage of outsource, and the conversation prior for the software was great. I loved it, because basically, it should be like spot specialists, and this is what we're buying now as a company, because we develop, but we're also buying expertise nowadays, yeah? Whether hardware or software, because also one of the biggest integrations. So we have 64 countries to manage, 3,500 people to manage. We are now at the stage of integrating Odoo as well, and we are buying the expertise as well from outsource, because we don't have it, we need it. Same for logistics, we're moving tons of products during the year. We are buying now expertise and using also AI, and guys from Amazon, we bought 2 of them, to be also helping us out. So it is something that needs by the companies, by the large companies as well, and a smaller ones. So the interaction is there. And the idea of cheap, I don't agree on outsource, it should be cheap. It should not be. I mean, we know by default, outsource is 50% margin, on average. It needs to be there, but I'm okay, ready to pay for it when I get the quality. I want quality nowadays. Very simple.
Artyom?
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Yeah. And like for any product, time to market is key factor. I don't think, quote unquote, Belarusian businesses should be competing on price. Absolutely not. There is much more Indians in the world, much more Chinese in the world. The whole Africa, and Africa is the whole continent of very different cultures and people. So let us compete where we're really good at, which is honesty, transparency, structural approach, which is still very valuable. I know Agile and the rest is kind of a hot topic, but it doesn't mean a mess, doesn't mean a chaos. And ultimately, quality and reliability, and therefore working with suppliers, and I mean not only suppliers components, but suppliers of the whole services to have a product from cultures where you agree, it's like a contract. Like, for example, Netherlands, where I worked previously. You talk to a Dutchman, you agree with something, like you sign a contract. The sky might fall down, he will do it. And you have to know these cultural differences and then pick and choose in order to have the job done on time. Because if it's 3 months later, nobody probably would care. You still get paid, but there is no product.
Thank you. So, who is going to speak next about this topic? Piotr. Mm-hmm.
So I guess sourcing manufacturing in Asia is going to be there forever, unfortunately, because of the demographics, because of the sheer volume of people that live in there, because of the supply chain. So of course, geopolitics can disrupt the whole thing, and then we end up sitting and manufacturing everything in Europe or United States. But if you're a startup, I guess there's no way you should rely on outsourcing. I have to say this, because you and only you as the founder, and there are founders here, you should know what you do. There's no consultant that's going to help you. For the larger companies, when you have the cash flow, when you have the money, of course you can buy the expertise, and this is what the ASBIS group, for example, is saying, that this is what they're doing. And I guess you agree with all the people who are doing wonderful outsourcing here. The best clients are the big clients because they have the money to pay. And the startups or small, medium companies, they have none, typically. So, and as for manufacturing, I again agree. So in China, there are two types of companies, the ones that are managed by the Europeans, or and those are managed by the Chinese. So you can see, just the minute you walk into the factory, you just see who built that factory and who operates that factory. But in the end, why everything is manufactured in Asia is because customers want low prices. So in Europe, of course, you don't have this hassle, supply chain management. You don't need to manage people that much that in China you don't have to sit behind Chinese back with a stick. But it comes at the cost. So if something major happens in the world, I don't know what that can be, then we have to get back to producing on the continent in Europe. That'll be a different game. But now, customers want the cheap products, cheap services, cheap everything. Therefore, there's Asia for that. So you have to then concentrate on adding value. And that's in consumer, that's marketing and sales, so value proposition. And if you're in the B2B sector, you have to just create value, whatever that is. It's going to be a service, or it's going to be a solution, or it's something that you do better, faster with AI, without AI. Doesn't matter.
Okay, thank you. And Nikita, maybe you can highlight us your experience with raising money in China for manufacturing, right?
Yes. Chinese government provide a lot of opportunities for startup. They organize a lot of conferences for tech companies. I was in China in the summer. It's usually for free. It's very easy to visit China, but you need to be a little bit. You need to understand that they can steal your business idea. You can steal your technology. China is a very, very powerful country, very powerful. And after China, Europe, it looks like a village. It's a very attractive place, and we are going to start working in China. But we have a plan to divide our product as product for European market, a product for Chinese on Asia market. I very recommend all startups who trying to raise money or who want to visit China just to participate in such competition. For example, Chinese government provides, for example, you can get a loan in a bank with any extra fees for R&D. But if, for example, Chinese people have few shares in your company, they have all your company. It's very important, and you need to understand that. You have to be very, very careful with your IP rights. But pricing, it's very attractive to start production in China. For example, now in our company we have some problems with the sanctions war between China and US. We now need to produce two types of hardware for European market and for American market. In European market, we can save some money to using Chinese parts. For American market, we need to we use only parts with American ICs. That's my experience.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, Sergei, could you add?
I'll just add one little topic. So IP, definitely IP. So everybody's actually running, and actually mistake that we did before. IP for China must be protected in China. It should not be in Europe. They ignore your UK certificates, they ignore your American ones, they ignore anything from those. They are scared from the IP that is mentioned in China, registered in China, protected there. That's important.
Okay, maybe conclusions only.
Somehow it turned into is China good or bad, and of course there is real China, which is ROC, which commonly known as Taiwan, which is much more civilized country to work at. never done anything with China mainland, and to be honest, I don't care for my money to get to Texas to CCP. I understand a low price for consumer product and some other markets, but there is so much more products that needs to be developed for markets which don't care about price at all. They care about quality and time to market. And therefore, they don't care about China at all. And many of them will strictly forbid you just dealing with China, let alone have somebody on your board. So let us work with people who both have money, value quality, and who are of a similar culture. Let's not chase the cheapest path and there are many pros who can afford that. Of course, most consumers probably cannot, and you have to, again, pick and choose.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Yes, I think that covers this issue, and we should go ahead with our new topic. Maybe more funny, because I was on SBS. It's a big show, and the Electronica show in Munich last week. And the question of the year: do you use AI in your products, in your real products? Or do you use an EdgeAI in your real products? And usually it's like joke today. And my question to you, do you use AI in your products? And maybe some thoughts from Viktar. What do you think about this topic?
As you probably know, I am the biggest fan of AI. I think that AI will kill us pretty soon. And and actually, of course, I'm a lot experimenting with AI when I'm looking for a new big idea. One of them, for example, now I'm doing a soft toy for my younger daughter, so my daughter can speak with this toy. The toy can tell different stories, for example. They can interact. So it's kind of intelligence, I think. Yes, I think that AI will get in all the areas and hardware as well. And I think we have to expect some kind of revolution in a mix of hardware and AI.
Okay, thank you. So who is next? Nikita? Nikita, could you explain about EdgeAI, maybe EdgeAI? Yes. Do you use EdgeAI on your camera?
No, we don't have EdgeAI in camera because our device is a small camera, solar-powered device, and energy efficiency is very important for us. And to process images or data on edge, you need to apply expensive and energy and efficiency hardware. So for us, the main goal is to compress data and to send it and save energy. And then in the cloud, yes, of course, we apply AI to recognize the plant images, to provide some advices for farmers. But on an edge part, we don't use AI, and we don't have a plan to use AI on edge.
Okay, so?
Yeah, I'll comment on that one. So AI, as was actually mentioned, yeah, as well, Artyom. It's a great word, but it's so spread out and used everywhere now, like smart and IoT, which makes no sense. So let's be honest. AI, for me, is machine learning and data sets at this stage still. So let's dumb it down. And as far as that goes, for the hardware, we use it to help us develop the hardware, verify some of our mistakes at this stage, related specifically for the hardware part. Will we have Skynet and robots building robots? Yeah, sometime in the future. So Viktar, what, 5 years you said? Okay, fine. We should be preparing for that. As far as the other software, so we are using it, let's say, for data sets. So one of the latest projects, and it's actually, we have it here in Poland, is refurbishment. So old mobile phones, we trade in, we verify the scratches, anything on the screens, on the sides of it, and we use basically a data set or build-up of all those things to analyze faster than a human, better than a human. So AI or ML, it's there to help us, not to replace us at this stage. This is what I say. So jobs like the idea of AI, DevOps, or anything related to that, we had before the SEO kind of courses, yeah, the search engine optimizations. Soon will be AI optimizations who understands how to optimize it for our usage. It's a helper. It's a great helper at this stage. For designers, it's a helper. I mean, I have my designers who are using it as well to do it quicker, faster, rich content being produced as well. We have multiple products. It's making it life easier for sure. So who's able to adapt and optimize and use it, this is where it's going to really work. At this stage, replacement, not so much.
Artyom, maybe you can share us real use cases from real world and real products.
Well, I absolutely agree that this is another tool. Essentially, most of us are probably old enough, and if we studied at RTE, we certainly had a course in what was called expert systems, the knowledge management system. This is next level to me. We do use let's use ML tools, machine learning tools from other companies to do schematic design verification. There is Caddy from Israeli company. We also use Mitai now, Damperflex from TDK to check layout design of the board for EMC issues. Again, this is based on experience in industry, but mind you, behind that there are actual engineers who take feedback of the customers, because quite often there's a lot of false positives and false negatives as well, and they do adjust their models, and I can actually run it and see if it had picked up. So it's automatic rule checker, very powerful, will not replace engineer. We are not going to replace it. As far as generating is concerned, I think ideas and proposals, and for us as design house, is quite vital to provide client pro bono a proposal of architecture, for example. The generative tools are also viable because they can build approximate architectures which we could share with the client. But again, it doesn't really mean we will use it and develop further. This is first step to get engaged, probably. At this point, in the future, it will definitely evolve more.
Okay, thank you. Peter, maybe you have real use cases when we use AI in our devices, real devices, or
I think we've been using it for 5-6 years, machine vision, OpenCV. I think that's as far as it goes, because that's what the industry needs, and this is what device needs. So the use case is when you do the analysis, the post-production quality control of your PCBs, the electronics, this is the tool to use. And that's been implemented, like almost 7 years ago in way different vendors, so you can continue doing it. So another thing is where it goes, AI or machine vision goes into manufacturing, is you control all these processes, the workflows, the material flows with machine vision. Basically, you can detect it. But again, it's not standalone thing. You have a very powerful processor, and it's wired to a socket. So basically, if we want the Skynet, we need basically a Terminator 800. And this feature of the Terminator 800 is a nuclear power battery inside them, because now if you want it on the edge, it's going to consume a lot of electricity if you want the capacity that you have of ChatGPT, for example, right? So we're far, far away from edge AI on the edge, and that will be the breakthrough, first of all, of the chip design. And now what we use 40-nanometer process for most of the AI applications and hardware on the edge. It's probably going to be like down to 2 or 3, and that's going to be power efficient because, again, you end up with a Terminator and nuclear power plant attached to your hardware device.
Viktar, what do you think? Can we split AI algorithms between EdgeAI and CloudAI and create a really smart solution in electronics?
Well, I think that at the moment we use inappropriate hardware for AI. So we use graphic cards that we used to play games in AI. But we have a good example of a device that consumes less energy. It's our brain. It consumes just tenths of watts. So I believe that it's absolutely possible to design a new chip based on a biological structure of our brains, and it will consume less than a nuclear power station can get.
Okay. Artyom?
I cannot disclose details, but there is alternative for cloud LLM solutions versus GPUs. I absolutely agree. This is a joke. It's a game in cars which became such tools. It's the way technology goes. But there is another way. There are metrics processors. There is company, for example, US company named Grok, which is one of the major players in the area. So I think we will gradually come along and diversify from this low precision FPU-based solution, which is GPUs essentially. You don't actually need floating point processors there. You can do in integer much more and quicker and don't have so much power consumption as well. Whereas there's already solutions has been on the market on chip design. Yes, they still consume hundreds of amps per chip, and there are hundreds of those chips in the rack. But it's much more efficient, and it is much quicker and probably deterministic, if I'm using the word right, than GPU-based solutions.
Okay, thank you. Maybe we can have one question from our audience, if you want, and answer to it, because we know that hardware is hard and a little bit boring. Scene. Do you have any questions? Okay. Nikita, you can add
from the audience.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. I would like to explain how I'm using GPT-chat while I creating hardware. For example, usually if you create something complex device, you can divide it in simple blocks. And using GPT-chat, you can very fast for example, to calculate amplifier, to calculate match circuit, to calculate filter. It really works, and it allows you to make it very fast, because it's just university knowledges, and you can get this calculation very, very fast. You can, for example, to choose the wire diameter, if you know a current. And also, I'm using AI to generate the code. I know that a lot of people who use Python, they have a lot of possibility, because the Python code base is much bigger than hardware. For example, if you want to try to generate some specific code for hardware, usually you don't get bad result. But if you want to get some mathematical algorithms or sorting, it really works well. And of course, I am using GPT-chat to analyze, for example, term sheets. It's very interesting. You have term sheet, you want to make counter offer. You just type, please make me counter offer, and you can get our advices about that. It's also work very well.
Okay, thank you. At the end, I will ask. Question. We have question. Viktar. Okay.
Roman, thanks for the opportunity to ask the question. As the result of the artificial intelligence flood, there's a lot of misinformation in the world. And one of the trends is identification of the misinformation. How challenging this factor is for the hardware?
Okay, thank you, Igor.
Coming back to China, which has lots of counterfeit products, lots of counterfeit chips, and you cannot recognize it unless you do X-ray analysis, which is sometimes you have to, even on production line. So I think machine learning tools will be helpful to detect those, to detect counterfeit components and products. As far as information is concerned, if this video is genuine, I hope that would be tools that can do that, but it's usual battle of sword and shield. So just use your judgment, your critical thinking, I guess.
Okay, thank you. And at the end, I will ask each of you to deliver the most valuable thoughts from this discussion and the wish to our audience. Can we start from Nikita? Okay, Sergei.
So you can repeat the question. I'll make life easier. I did, but it's good.
What is your? We concluded. It's enough. We have only 5 minutes, and maybe you have conclude with some valuable thoughts from your side.
Sure. Look, hardware and software still gonna live. So what we are seeing, and as we are now touching more of the robotics as well, The two are separated in terms of, so the software guys are now pushing with the AI, the solutions to make the code write itself the code. One of the things everybody's testing, because we're developing the hardware for them, is, let's say, pick and place, yeah? So this is one of the biggest topics, is how long, how fast can I really do and modify the robot to do something? This is the hardest thing to do, because as humans, our hands, everything what we do is quite natural, but our brains is doing 95% of the work beforehand, so it's basically pre-coded. Currently, the amount of time needed to write the code, to set up the system, to set up the robotic solutions, it's a lot. So the AI can really help and speed up any kinds of development in that direction. So we saw the humanoids from Tesla. At this stage, all it did was just move and push the tab. Yeah, we can do that as well from our part. Yeah, we had the robot shops before. We had the kiosks. But the amount of coding, the amount of time it needed to do the amount of people and brain power it needed, we're talking about months. If you can adapt quickly to different tasks on the production line, at work, on logistics, anywhere, this is when it's going to be a great breakthrough. Yeah, I think many of you saw the iRobot movie. This is the direction it might be moving onwards. This is why the AI can really help out to make the adaptations. That's my comment.
That's very useful. Thank you. Artyom?
Whatever you use machine learning tools for in development, definitely verify them independently, verify with humans and other tools. There's a lot of heavily regulated industries, medical one of them, automotive, definitely defense, where people who will employ machine learning tools in controllable and certifiable way, and verifiable way, I should say, this will be very big chunk of this big pie, because I'm not sure that the case now. Advanced driving assistance systems, so far with the cars which we have, Tesla is exception and probably good exception, but other vendors don't use AI. They use something which they can verify because it is required by safety standards. Similar is in medical. So there are big markets where if we figure out how to use it, how to sell it to the customer in verifiable way, we'll earn a lot and move on.
Yes, it's really our topic for today. And Viktar, do you want to wish something?
Yes, I'd like to celebrate everybody in this room because I really believe that you live in the most interesting time of the humanity, and we will see a lot of changes now in hardware, in software, based on AI. It will be revolutionary changes, and I'm happy to be with you to see these changes as well.
Thank you. And Peter?
I want to say that the world is still physical, which means hardware. Player one ready as the film where we live in virtual reality is not. We're not quite there yet, so we will enjoy having fun. But as for AI, I would wish the AI to help manufacturing to produce tools and jigs to make it flexible with robots or without. And that's the only way where European and North American manufacturing can survive the Asian push.
Thank you. Nikita, maybe you can say something, wish maybe. Okay, Sergei.
I was thinking these topics and actually the previous one. I have one phrase I can actually break it down. So we were saying cheap. I can rephrase it in a different way. The most, and let's say the most expensive and the thing we cannot get back is time. And in business, we're saying time is money. So actually, by saving time, we're saving the money. That's, in a sense, cheap.
Thank you. And we should conclude our topic. We can only change, and from my side, we can only change ourselves and the world around us when we taking on new challenges and moving forward with our teams. Thank you, everyone. That's it for today. Have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you. Hardware companies, ladies and gentlemen.